Hi, welcome to the third in the series of user guides for Dronedesk. In this episode, I'm going to talk about leads, how to manage your prospects in the system. To access leads, click on leads, and you'll be presented with this table. And obviously, because we haven't got any records yet, it's going to say create a new lead, which you can do very quickly and easily by clicking on new lead at the top there. Throughout the system, you'll see data entry fields with either an asterisk and or a dagger against them. Asterisk means the field is required. The dagger means for this particular class of object, whether it's a lead, client, location, job, team, or whatever, the field that has the dagger against it needs to be unique in the system for your company. Okay, let's go about entering some information. We'll create a list of estate agents for the purposes of this demonstration, for example. Enter the name. The status I'll come to later, but everything in the system can have a status of active or archived. And obviously, because we're creating something new, that's going to be active initially. Lead progress, again, I'll come to those in a minute, but again, because we're creating a new lead, then we'll keep it as new. We can set a next action date, which again is linked to the lead process, and means that you can set a progress status and then set a date by which the next step in the process is due to be completed. You'll need to select which industry the lead operates in. So as I said, we're going to do real estate for this. Apologies for the Americanism. And then the business structure for the lead. Go limited company, acquisition channel. So this is how you acquired the prospect. Hopefully there's enough options in here to cover any eventuality. So let's say we've acquired this prospect through a networking event. The rest of the fields for a lead record are optional. So the more information you have, obviously, the easier it's going to be for you to communicate. And no doubt, once you establish contact with a prospect, you'll be able to fill more of this information in. For the purposes of the demo, I'll leave these blank. You can add notes to a prospect, but there's also the facility to add a log entry for the lead, which I'll show you in a second. Okay, so we've got the required information in. We're leaving all the optional information blank for the time being, and we're not adding any notes. We'll just click Save Lead. You'll get a note saying whether or not it was saved successfully, and then close that. And then you'll see that lead now appear in your list. So let's just quickly create another couple. Okay, so we've now got a table of 3 prospects who we're hoping to convert into clients. The green plus in each of the rows will expand the row and show the notes. So let me just quickly enter some notes for this particular prospect. I'll add a phone number for him. Okay, so now we've got Dave the estate agent. If we've added any notes, we can see those there. So in the table, we can see the lead name, the contact name, if you've entered one, the progress of the lead so far, the date the next action is due. If this icon is blue, that means it's future dated. If it's green, that means the action is due today. And if it's red, that means the action's overdue. And then in the contact section, there'll be live links if you've entered data for each icon. So we have an email address, so clicking that will open the default mail client. We have a phone number, so clicking that will open if you've linked your browser to a phone system, whether it's Skype or WhatsApp or whatever. Clicking that will dial the prospect. Mobile, no mobile listed, no Facebook, no Twitter, and no website listed. If we're going to progress this particular lead, there are a number of options available to us from the drop-down list. So we can view the prospect, edit it, which you've already seen. We can convert this to an archived record. We can delete the record if we really wanted to, and then we can view log entries or change the progress status, and I'll come to those in a minute. Okay, so editing you've seen already. Archive, this will change the status of that prospect to archived. So you'll notice now that it's disappeared from the table. All is not lost though, because you can view any archived records, and this is the same in all the tables throughout Dronedesk, by checking the box at the bottom right of the table, and you'll see that estate agent 1 is now back in the list, but greyed out because he's archived. We can unarchive it at any point. So that's a less permanent option than deleting a client. So if we really desperately wanted to get rid of that client, we can delete the record altogether. It does give you a warning suggesting that it might be better to archive the record instead, but you can go ahead and delete it if you really want to, and that will remove it permanently from the system with no way of recovering the record or any record associated with that. So there is an element of risk in deleting records, and I would caution against it and advise you to use the archive facility in preference to delete. Okay, and then we've got an option to view and add entries, which I mentioned briefly earlier. So this is an alternative to adding notes. So log entries are a quick and easy way to keep track of any interaction or any attempts at interaction with a prospect. So I've attempted to call the prospect, I got no answer, so I'll just add that as a log entry. So any of your users for your business in that system will now be able to see who did what and when for this prospect. So if anybody else picks up the prospect, they can have a look at the progress and see what's been done and what has been done. And every time you add a note, it'll instantly appear in the list once you hit enter or click the button there. That's log entries. So then we come to the progression. I've kept this at just 4 steps for a prospect to try and keep it as simple as possible. So new is for new prospects. Mark as attempted contact. So this would be where you've either not been able to get hold of the company at all, or the individual at all, or you've got hold of the company and you've not been able yet to speak to the right individual. Mark as connected would be where you've made successful contact with the right person in the company, and they've agreed to meet and or discuss further your offering. And then mark unqualified would be where you speak to the right person, but you've been unable to turn them into a qualified client. So essentially they're dead in the water as far as client goes. And then the final option in the list is convert to client. So this is clearly where you've been successful in making contact with a prospect and you've successfully converted them to a client. And at this stage, you're definitely going to be able to quote for some work as an example. So if you click convert to client, that brings up a pop-up asking you to confirm you want to convert them into a client. If you do convert them to a client, it won't delete them from the lead list. It'll just mark them as archived, but the system will create a corresponding client, a new client record in the client table. So let's convert this lead to a client. Okay, so you can see now that estate agent 1 has turned grey because he's archived. We'll untick the archive box to hide him from the list. And then we've got 2 more prospects to work through. So we'll mark this one as attempted contact. And you'll see the progress icon has changed colour to reflect the fact that it's at a different stage. Let's edit that and change the required date. So we'll say, okay, we're going to ring back on the 21st, save the changes, close that window. So you can see now the date's changed to the 21st. Estate agent 3, let's say we've made contact, connected, and they've agreed they would like us to quote for them. So that status is now changed to connected. You can filter the table. Let me just take that first record back actually, and archive. You can filter the table by status just to make it easier. So let's have a look at our news. Okay, we've got no new records. We've got some that have attempted contact. So it just gives you an easy and quick way to filter the list that you're going to work through in a particular session. Change that to all. There's also a search facility, so if your list is very long, this isn't going to be particularly helpful, but I can search for people called Dave. As soon as you start typing, it'll filter the list on any of the fields to match what you've typed in the search. Okay, I've provided the facility for a bulk upload. So if you click on the button, that'll download a spreadsheet for you. There's some instructions in here, but essentially it allows you to enter multiple records very quickly into a spreadsheet, and then if you send that back to me, I will upload it to the database for you. and that should save you a large amount of work. Okay, and I think that just about covers everything you need to know about leads. In the next section, I'll talk about the client records, and client records operate in a very similar way, as do all the tables in Dronedesk. So that's it from me. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.